What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the. I was gonna say the Euro stuff because I was so excited about the Dave Miller podcast the other day. Welcome back to Talk of the Tundra, the Green Bay Packers podcast for the Blue Wire family and the Eurostep Podcast Network. Uh, I am your host, Numac, and golly, Jordan. Thanks for being my co-host for this one, buddy. How are you doing?
Bit better, bit better. It was the game that I feared going into the season. Probably when we saw the schedule be released, and I looked at week 4 as Yoinkers Scoob. I don't know what that meant, but I was just very scared of the Lions, and all my fears are realized.
Yeah, it wasn't good. The Packers got absolutely embarrassed by the Detroit Lions. Currently 34-20 with 40 seconds to go. We started before the game ended because might as well get the show on the
One of those
road, right?
games.
it in what is for all intents and purposes one of the more supreme ass kickings I can remember from as a just a team standpoint. Like nothing really looked good the entire first half, and David Montgomery, as you said on the pod, the preview pod, just took a hold of this game and dominated the entire thing.
Yeah, Lions rushing attack. David Montgomery was questionable going into this game, I believe. Didn't look questionable tonight. um,
No,
uh,
I wish he would have sat. Frankly,
yeah, I mean, Jameer Gibbs is also very explosive, and he had a couple runs that I was like, oh, we're in for a long one, and he wasn't the guy that really did most of the damage. Jared Goff, I mean, we can go into the game by game, breakdown.
I
I
mean,
don't know what,
I don't know. It's just tough at this point. It's just like
but it was like I think what was frustrating. We were talking about this on the Discord, of course, join the GSP Discord. Like Jared Goff, bad pass, first drive, Rudy Ford gets this interception. It's like, oh, what a start. Especially coming into this game. You don't have Jair Alexander, so your number one corner is out of the game.
yep.
The secondary, very thin. Devondre Campbell, out. Defense, second level and secondary, not great.
No.
Not great at all. So to get that, you know, uh, there was no momentum to begin with. Um,
There was momentum
and
for
that was
all of
very,
one play. It was just the Rudy Ford interception, and that's
yes,
it. That's where it started and began in the first half, or started and
immediately
ended.
dashed. The passes were just off from the beginning. Jordan Love was in for a long night because the Packers line, as great as they looked for the first 3 weeks, looked as horrendous as I've ever seen them in a long time. Long time. Um, yeah, just down bad. And then it was like, okay, at least we got some points out of it. And the line just proceeded to march down the field, and that was the game.
Take us behind the shed and just do horrendous things to this team. Like credit to Rudy Ford for grabbing that pick right away and reading Goff's eyes quite well. But then I think where we start initially is just what in the fuck is Matt LaFleur doing with these play calls at the beginning of games? What was it? I think 6 or 7 straight passes to start the game. Like
Yes.
it's inconceivably bad to have Aaron Jones available, presumably rested for the most part, having not played since week 1. Obviously, I know he's coming off of an injury, but when he played and when he got snaps, he looked good. And so to not include him, your offense's best player by far, in the opening drive and then the ensuing drive after the Lions scored their touchdown is frankly inexcusable. It's just wrong. You have to mix in Aaron Jones, and the entire fan base calls for it because it's right. Look what happened in the Bears game when they got him involved. They scored. The offense looked so much better. And I get like maybe they're just didn't want to rush him back in. I don't care. This is an important game. Like if he's available, you have to use him. You just have to use him.
At this point, too, like Packers have so many injuries that if you're gonna play them and just do this like, oh, he's a decoy kind of thing, then don't play him. Like
Yeah,
you're not. Are you better served having like I know I'm probably gonna waffle this back and forth. It's emotional football fan how we do it, but it is really frustrating going this game and your expectations get higher about what this offense could do if Aaron Jones and Chris Watson are out there. And I mean, let's go through it. 5 carries, 18 yards for Aaron Jones, longest of 9. Christian Watson 2 yards, or sorry, 2 catches, 25 yards, a touchdown. Um, Aaron Jones 1 catch, -4 yards.
yeah,
So like between them, a combined uh 8 touches.
yeah,
And yes, a lot of that time that they're out in the field and were running routes, or if they were getting the ball in the backfield, which Aaron Jones did very little of. And of course, the game was just in a spot where they were not running the ball because they had to come back from behind. Um, yeah, like I just it was just very frustrating, and they're gonna have a long week for them to get healthy, but it just felt like a moot point just to get such a big break on the opening drive
mm-hmm,
in Lions territory near the red zone, and you don't use your best players as a result.
right,
And yeah, just
exactly.
not good.
It's really that simple. Like looking through like the play-by-plays here, like Jordan Love, 1st and 10 at the 20, sacked. Or oh, I missed the field goal drive. I apologize. Incomplete to Aaron Jones. That's fine. Glad we tried to get him mixed in. I don't. Pretty sure I don't remember the play call. Or no, it was a. Was that the pitch play? No, it wasn't. Regardless of it all, get him involved early. Good. Whatever. It's still a pass. Whatever. Sacked. Not great. Then, um, incomplete. First drive done for. Kick a field goal. That's fine. But then you go into a sack. You go into an incomplete pass, which I'm sure the pocket was crowded AF. And then another one, incomplete pass to AJ Dillon, penalty on Runyon for holding. Like the offensive line tonight was just abysmal, and like I get that it's so hard to really go through and blame them considering they're Dom Bakhtiari who went on IR today. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah,
Maybe that's a next week topic, but then they're down EJ and Zach Thomas hampered. But like, golly, man, what do you do when there's just nothing available? And I think it was Tony Gonzalez said it at halftime. Matt LaFleur needed to mix in some short passes for Jordan Love to get going with, like some little curl routes at 3 yards, something to get him going. Right? They kept looking for 5-step drops and passes down the middle, which like any other week, Jordan, you know this. Any other week, I would have been super happy that that's what they're looking for. But you have to have a feel of the game, and he just didn't have it. He just hasn't had it all year so far. Like, you have to give him an opportunity to get in a rhythm when this pocket is so crowded like it was tonight. Like, he just didn't have any time to make his reads. Like, that's
yeah.
that's what was going wrong tonight. And you can say that it's partially the offensive line fault. It's a big part of their fault. But you also have to look at the play caller not calling runs for the first 9 plays or so, and then not setting up successful high completion percentage passes or high successful percentage passes for Love to get into a rhythm. Like, make him stop the little dink and dunk throws for all it's worth. Like, it's just it's insanity. It's literally insanity.
Well, I think the frustrating thing is this is a theme.
Mm-hmm.
This is a recurring trend. The Bears game, the season opener, they score the on the opening drive and matched how many touchdowns they did or they had for the opening drives last year.
Right.
Ever since then, they have had these big breaks, whether it was the big pass interference call on the Wicks route in the Falcons game that only led to not even a field goal,
Right.
right? That was the punt.
Yep.
Then last week, we knew how last week started. Like that was just abysmal all around. This team, even dating back to like preseason, we focused on like the good things about preseason. This team just starts very slow, and it is very confounding, especially with it's not an older team. This is a young team. You would imagine that they kind of start really fast, and then as games go on, they slow down. The last 2 weeks, been they've fallen in these huge holes,
Mm-hmm.
and these deficits that last week they were able to make up for it because their defense kept them in it. They kept getting sacks. They kept getting pressures. Talked about it plenty on the Saints post game and Lions preview, but now it's like when you get punched in the mouth repeatedly, it wasn't even just a punching in the mouth. This is like a dogfight, and the Packers are just like lying there like a scarecrow body. I don't know what was going on, but that's where it's really frustrating to see this team just not do anything of consequence to start these games because it creates these deficits that you were able to overcome last week. When you're facing a good team like the Lions, you're not going to. Nights like this happen.
Right, exactly. Like this is a young team, and I understand that this is going to happen sometimes, and that there's going to be like growing pains. This you could not chalk this all up to growing pains. This is the inability to get your team ready for a big matchup in prime time. You know what this was? You know what this is? This is the fucking Titans game from last year, where they needed to keep winning. They needed to keep winning. You are muted, by the way.
Also on Thursday night.
All
Sorry.
that's what I'm saying. It's the
Yeah.
exact same fucking scenario where they needed a win to keep their reasonable playoff hopes alive, right? They just needed to go against this Titans team at home on Thursday Night Football, and the same exact shit happens. They get the bricks beat off them by a team that is more disciplined defensively and
Yes.
has a better handle of what they should be doing offensively. Like last year, the Titans ran the ball down the Packers' throat. This
Gross.
year, the Lions ran the ball down the Packers' throat and took their chances down the field when they could. And that's all it was. Like David Montgomery ran the ball 32 times, Jordan. It's
Mm-hmm.
crazy. Like I'm Matt LaFleur is a good coach, but he is frustrating as all hell as his inability to be able to get the team properly prepared on short notice and just prepared in general. Like
Yeah.
the Saints game is having the same thing. They were getting blown out through the first half. Booze coming down from Lambeau 2 weeks in a row. Like I don't blame them. I do not blame the fans whatsoever.
No.
Um, this is super off topic, but I'm scrolling through Twitter now post game, and there's a bunch of like fans talking about like how many Lions fans there are there. I don't.
Oh my God.
I you and I are gonna have different opinions on this. I don't think people understand how many fucking Lions fans are in this state. Like the Lions are good now. They're going to come to games. Like I knew a ton of Lions fans when I was a kid and when through college and such. Michigan's not far. It borders the state
No.
an hour north of Green Bay. Michigan on the other side
Get
is
on the
not far.
ferry.
Get on the ferry.
Get on the
Take
ferry.
the half-hour flight. This is not a far like destination for Detroit fans to go to. It's like they're
Yeah.
they're good now. They're going to
I
travel.
I just think it's a really funny topic because it's like, where are all these Lions fans coming from? Where are they coming from? And it's like, there's planes, there's trains,
I,
there's ferries,
I just
and we're focusing on where are they coming from.
we're
It's 2023.
we're
What the fuck
focusing
are
on the
we talking
wrong
about?
thing as fans. Like we should not be upset by the amount of Lions fans at Lambeau Field. It holds 80,000 fucking people. Like there's gonna be
Yeah,
a good amount of the like Lions fans there. And talking about there's a lot of blue in the stands. It contrasts green pretty good. Like it's just gonna pop
yeah,
off.
it's gonna stand
It's
out.
gonna stand out. And so it this is the last I'm gonna say of it. It's a fucking the most annoying thing to complain about after a loss like this. There are so many things to complain about, and that's that.
It feels very like you're searching for any straw to pick from, and you'd be like, and this thing, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
that. Like I understand we all want fan turnout to be what it is. We understand why this night was part of the gold package and everything like that because it's a school night and you're not necessarily betting on everybody being out there. But like it is the Packers just got ramsacked and it would
Yeah.
not have mattered if there were 10 Lions fans in there versus 10,000. Yeah, I mean,
No, exactly. Exactly. So, Adam Sheridan in chat acting like the Lions fans are aliens. You know what I want, Adam? Adam, you know what I want? I want the poster that every college, like every other college kid had. That's the UFO over the fourth. Does I want to
I want to
believe,
believe.
but
Yeah, the X Files, baby.
it's just a Lions
That's
logo.
actually the Lions tagline for this year.
Yeah, I
I
want
want
to
to believe.
believe. So I don't know, man. Like I guess what do you want to talk about first? To like I should say first, but we talked about.
Ooh.
I guess do you want to talk the O line? Do you want to talk
I
just?
that honestly that was my first thing.
I think we have to. It's
It's
Bakhtiari
on the
going
board.
IR is going to be a significant blow to this team. For all intents and purposes, Rasheed Walker had a good week last week and a good week against the Falcons. He looked not great tonight. But again, it's not just him; it's everybody.
Yeah, Rasheed Walker had a lot of struggles, to say the least. Aiden Hutchinson, the guy is going to ruin any Packers Lions game for the next 10 years
Yeah,
because he's a star. I'm we talked about this last night in our preview. That guy's a dynamite star, and he I don't oh. Um Rasheed Walker, John Runyon Jr. Got hurt early, but fought through it. Taped up his ankle. Didn't matter. It like I understand if we could point out like specific linemen. Royce Newman had a couple low lights. It was the entire O line. Even a guy like Zach
even
Tom
Zach Tom
today.
was getting beat.
He's been so good to start this year. He got worked. Rasheed Walker filling in for David Bakhtiari and presumably going to be the starter for the rest of the season
Hmm.
considering the news that happened today.
In case you didn't see
Great
the
for the
news, I'm sorry to interrupt, Jordan. In
yes.
case you didn't see the news, which if you're in here now, I would have to assume you did. Um, David Bakhtiari placed on IR, out until at least the end of October. But I think as Ian Rappaport reported that he had arthroscopic surgery. I'm pretty sure I have that verb right there, but if it's not,
I am bringing up the exact tweet
thank
because
you.
he mentions that
I could probably
officially
find it
placed on
too.
IR today following arthroscopic knee surgery yesterday, sources say. Another surgery is planned in the coming weeks, one aimed at allowing him to play at full strength in 2024.
Yeah, it's just not good. Like it just really isn't that good much at all. As I try to get my live producing skills on quick. There it is from Rappaport. Yeah, like I think he replied to it later, but I forget who said it, but he had the surgery, and then from there, he's gonna have another surgery later this year.
Yes,
To
which is what he had originally to come back,
right,
correct?
I
So
think
he's having this
so.
1-2-1-2 kind of thing.
Yeah. So yeah, it's not good. But yeah, with EJ out too, it's it's hard. Like EJ not going on IR means he could come back against Vegas, and then they have a bye next week or the week after Vegas. So he's
Mm-hmm.
got a lot of downtime and only one game more, essentially. So I guess the best case scenario would be to expect EJ back against the Broncos. But yeah, right now it's a mash unit of offensive linemen, dude. And like Josh Myers didn't look good. John Rennie Jr. didn't
Oh,
look good. Like the entire line just didn't look good. And I think is part of the reason we talked about this earlier in the year. What would Jordan Love look like with a crowded pocket? And this pocket wasn't even crowded. It was stuffed. It was busy. It was inescapable at times. It was so busy that he couldn't even get through his reads. And I think that isn't something that you can fully glean from this game entirely. Like there was times he had some time and wasn't making throws for sure. But
mm-hmm.
at the same time, there's times when he was just immediately pounced upon by the defensive line. And so I guess with that understanding, I want to see what you thought of Love tonight behind this line and what you're taking away from this performance by both.
I'm just gonna break in with a stat. 5 sacks. How many lost yards? I believe it was 47.
43.
43. Ironically, Jordan Love had his highest completion percentage in a game tonight, if you want to believe that. This season.
It doesn't like really surprise me, frankly. Like when he had time, he was making some good throws. He just didn't have
Maybe,
time.
no. And we got really excited about this after preseason. Probably too excited about it, considering they're playing second stringers, third stringers. But we looked at this O line as being a strength in pass blocking, which it had been. But a little bit of last week, we saw how things will look when he is pressured. When you just face a barrage like he faced tonight, the Lions' defensive line just at it's the cliche of football. It's the winning the trenches and all that stuff, and it's we don't talk about it because it's not sexy. It's not what you know, whatever. But it heavily determines so many different things of what an offense is able to do, what a
Mm-hmm.
defense is able to do when you flip it out. And the fact that Jordan Love just didn't have any time. The Packers run game is non-existent. Has been all year.
Yeah.
Partially because Aaron Jones has played so little. When the onus is on Jordan Love to drive the offense and he is under attack repeatedly for save for one drive that they put together, like the touchdown drive basically, their first touchdown drive. What more do you expect him to do?
Right.
I like that's where this season is getting the longer we get on with this and everything that is plaguing the Packers between the injuries of key players on the line. Luke Musgrave left the game early going into concussion protocol. He was out. It's not great. It's not great in that sense. And we're ultimately we're looking at the season as like how do we grade or assess Jordan Love and what he could be for the Green Bay Packers and assess this team moving forward. Can't really do that when your best players are all hurt.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that's it's I don't know. I
It's why I talked about this year as being gravy for a large part of this like of the offseason because we just need to see like what Jordan Love can possibly do with this team. We understood that there'd be growing pains. That doesn't mean I'm not fucking mad about this game tonight because it hurts. It does. It just hurts
yeah.
to get embarrassed like this as a fan of
There's
a
a
team.
difference.
Right.
I talked about this with my fiance. Low expectation season means that okay, you'll be fine if they play well and still lose.
Right.
Kinda. You just don't want to see them get bare naked slapped and
Right.
just ruin like it was not a game from the beginning.
They got undressed thoroughly by the Lions. And
Yes.
it's I guess it's partially good because then you know what you have without a Hall of Fame quarterback and Aaron Rodgers covering up a lot of deficiencies. But like now you're kind of seeing more of what might need to change in the offseason, which is good. It's going to be a grind for the probably the next year or two, hopefully not longer. But I think that's just what it is. And when it's when it comes to a game like this, we'll get to the defense in a little bit. I'm pretty much sure I've had enough of Joe Barry. I've had enough of a lot of the assistant coaches on that side of the ball. But you had mentioned the run game being non-existent. Like Andy Herman, Lions 43 carries, 211 yards. Packers 12 carries, 27 yards. They have 217 yards through 4 games. That's horrendous. That's
That's almost
awful,
what Jared Goff passed for tonight.
right? But like, it's almost what the Lions rush for tonight. It's just inexcusable to not run Aaron Jones more in the game against the Bears when he was healthy, and then not run him more tonight against this team. It's just inexcusable because like we've said it so much in the last 2 weeks. AJ Dillon and Emmanuel Wilson weren't getting it done. AJ Dillon had nothing wrong to do tonight. He had a few good runs, frankly. He had a couple bad runs too, but he didn't play like
And
total.
he just didn't have many. He had
Right, he
five,
had five.
5 for 11.
Right, his longest was six. So like, that was the good run. But otherwise, you have to talk to like the line too, right, Jordan? Like this isn't that like. I think this is a more blame the line kind of night than a blame AJ Dillon kind of night, frankly.
Oh yeah, like I think that is part of where we're at, where it's like this team just they're they have tried to make this as much of a balance of we have veteran running backs that can ease the pressure off Jordan Love. Pressure's on Jordan Love to drive this offense. That is how it's been the first 4 weeks of the season. Until we see consistency in terms of the run blocking scheme, guys. If AJ Dillon and Aaron Jones are both healthy out on the field, mostly we want to see Aaron Jones play.
Yeah,
But if you see more of them on the field and they get the holes that they need to just get chunk plays, I'm just asking for 5 yards consistently.
yeah,
Let's do it. But they are not. And Jordan Love, again, a fourth year quarterback who is making his fifth or sixth start, whatever it was tonight. Like that is where the Packers offense is, and it's that can't help him moving forward. It can't help the team moving forward in terms of trying to establish some success here because it's that's just not it.
nope, nope. All right, keep with the offense for a minute on some good stuff, just to get a little sprinkling of good in this down bad pod we got going on so far. Um, as I fade, Kachow. Romeo Dobbs, 9 catches for 95 yards. That's pretty darn good for him. Like that's good. He was targeted 13 times. Like I think if there's one thing to be said, it's that this chemistry that Dobbs and Love have developed over the last year between running in practice and then going out to California and practicing with him with this past offseason, it's paying dividends a lot. They're on the same page almost always. Sans the second pick Jordan Love had tonight where the scramble drill kicked in too early for Dobbs, frankly. But that's not something that is either I'm blaming Dobbs or Love for. It's just an unfortunate miscommunication because Dobbs is right that the scramble drill is starting. He was open in the corner. That would have been a touchdown. Love is right to think that he's gonna keep on that route right there. Like it's just an unfortunate timing. So Romeo Dobbs is he's gonna be a staple for this team for a long time to come.
Yeah, made plays, kept things going. Any signs of life that the Packers had in the second half, Romeo Dobbs is at the center of it. The connection between him and Jordan Love has been a bright spot this season, especially offensively. Just and it's good to know that I felt like this is like the first like full workload that he had. And partially that's because he had 9 catches and 95 yards for it. So he's getting a lot of work in terms of just not being blanketed with coverage. But yeah, that he's going to have to drive this offense, especially as Christian Watson works his way back from being out the last couple games. You're muted.
I'm muted. Okay, I know this as I set up. Christian Watson, uh, 2 catches on 4 targets for for a touchdown. Like I think he played fine for what he had. He wasn't getting open too much, but I don't think he may have been getting open, just not being able to get the ball thrown to him, frankly. But the
Yeah,
route he ran on that touchdown was a good
the
route.
rub route.
Yeah, it was a good route, and I was very nervous he stepped out. Very nervous he stepped out,
Yes.
but thankfully he didn't. Um, I think once this line gets back to as healthy as it's going to be with EJ and hopefully Tom at full capacity and all the other stuff, I would like to see how this team gets mixed in more with Christian Watson. Because even when they had time, maybe it was just as simple as they were calling the wrong plays at the wrong time. But no deep shots to Christian Watson tonight. Like maybe they didn't want to get him going full bore with his hamstring and knowing how sensitive that is. But um, regardless of it all, I think that like it was curious that to see they got Jaden Reed on the deep ball at the end of the third quarter instead of Christian Watson.
Yeah, that pass was first. Jay Reed, thank you for catching a pass, hauling it in like normal. Um, made up for the I don't know what the hell you're doing with that punt return, but you backed off, and then you're like, yeah, I'll play it when it's a live ball and it's nearing my body, and I can easily be just taking it out here, and then you see the Lions score a touchdown.
Right.
Um, but that play though, perfect ball again. Feel like anything that Jordan Love is going to be inspected with a magnifying glass this year, but deep balls have been a problem. Whether that's his problem, whether it's the chemistry between the receivers, whether it's just having a full, healthy complement of receivers, seeing that play connect and that really jumpstart that drive or continue that drive, I should say, was huge, huge for Love and Reed.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of Jaden Reed, 3 catches, 55 yards. He's got. I forget who said it earlier or where I saw it. I'm gonna check the Discord quick, but through the 4 games, Jaden Reed has some pretty good stats. I think week 1 he had a touchdown, and then week 2 against the Falcons he had, or no, here we go, a 30-yarder, um, a 30-yard catch in week 1. This is from Zach Cruz. 30-yard catch in week 1, 2 TDs in week 2, a 30-yard catch in week 3, and then a 44-yard catch tonight. Like I think he's gonna be part of the offense, and I think this might just be we'll wait
Also,
and
line up in the backfield sometimes too, I believe
right.
tonight.
It's gonna be a lot of wait and see for Jaden Reed and just helping this offense um get into form to maybe look more like it did against the Bears week 1 and just become a gelled offense sooner rather than later, frankly, because he's good. He's got talent. Um, Samara Stewart, you're muted, by the way.
I said we just want to see playmakers.
Just want to see playmakers. That's all we want to see. Samara Toure, I'll give you your due on your 1 catch, dog.
That was badass.
I don't know how he caught that. I don't know how they called him in. Like I
I don't
thought he was
know.
still bobbling on the guy's back as he fell down, but I'm not gonna complain. It was a gnarly catch, so good on you. Um, Josiah DeGuara, like I don't know, man.
They did fine.
He did fine.
He's
He
just not dynamic.
he whiffed on a block, dude. That got Aaron Jones upended. Whiffed.
Yes.
And like that's supposed to be his thing, dude. And he just whiffed, and I don't know, like he's getting like he was getting passes, but I think that's more because Musgrave wasn't in than it was Josiah earning his
Yes.
spot. So I think that's all we got for the receivers. I leaked it
And
earlier.
not a
Oh,
lot of Dontavian Wicks action.
I didn't think he'd get too much look now that Watson's back. Like
Yeah.
it kind of makes sense
Malik
that
Heath was inactive
yeah. Like
as well.
I think that now that Watson's healthy, it'll be Watson, Dobbs, Reed, Toure, Wicks, and then with Wicks
Yeah.
getting little to no run. It's kind of my opinion. He should get more. He's talented, but I don't think tonight was the night is going to be anyways, given how they all played. So, um, you keen-eyed folks out there saw it earlier because I mistakenly brought it up, but we'll move to the defense now. And golly, LaFleur on the run defense. I couldn't agree with this more. I'm glad he finally is realizing something with this. LaFleur on the run defense from Matt Schneeman. I'm apparently saying his name wrong, but I don't really care.
Neither.
Schneeman, whatever it do be.
I don't know.
LaFleur on the run defense. Quote, we're going to have to do something different. It's insane to do the same things over and over again and expect a different result. No fucking
Hot
shit.
dog, man. I think you should leave.
No fucking shit. Like, the same thing over and over again is coming from your dumbass fucking coordinator. Like, nothing has changed in the past 5 years except for defensive coordinator. And when you went from, I forget who's the defensive coordinator for Joe Barry, but
Mike Patton.
Mike Patton. From Mike Patton to Joe Barry, nothing has changed. Run defense is still bad. And Joe Barry's run defense has been bad for years. Like, I just I don't understand the reasoning, Jordan, why they didn't fucking fire him after last season. It's supposed to be the strong part of this team. They've invested so many first round fucking picks on that defense, and they just can't make a serviceable run defender. I don't get it. Like, they have good players. They have Jair Alexander. Darnell Savage is looking better than he did last year. He's playing well. They have Quay. They have Devontae Wyatt. They have fucking Kenny Clark there. They have so much offensive talent. Eric Stokes, who was having a dog shit year last before he got hurt. Like, there's so much talent on the front end.
There's a lot of investment in that side of the ball.
Exactly. A defensive coordinator worth his salt should be able to have a top 10 defense with this team. It's insane. It's actually insane. And the fact that he kept them around is inexcusable again. Like, we got mad about it in this past offseason. I mean, getting mad about it again because it's simple stuff. It's they there's no way they can be this bad at it. There's just no way. We talked about dynamic running backs. Bijan Robinson carved us up. Tyler Algier carved us up. Last year, Khalil Herbert and Dave Montgomery carved us up. Dave Montgomery carved us up again tonight, dude. And it just makes zero sense. Zero sense as to why this man still has a job. Like, it's just, oh my lord. It makes me want to scream. And if I was able to scream at the top of my lungs right now without waking other people in the house, I would.
If I could say a quote,
Go for it.
I think if you stay the same, you get passed by. The 2023 Green Bay Packers is going to be completely different than the 2022 Green Bay Packers. There's no doubt.
Was that Kenny Clark?
No,
No, it was somebody. Well, it was Joe Barry, wasn't it?
it was Joe Barry.
God, I fucking hate him. Nothing changed. They don't look different. They still don't play press man on receivers. They still give 10
No.
yards of soft cushion on for talented receivers to make breaks on. I know that's my bugaboo on this podcast is asking, pleading for a cornerback to play press man, but it matters. It just matters. And he's been passed by, and I don't think he's going to get a job after that. He might get some crappy assistant, but he's not getting a D
Well,
coordinator.
remember,
job
he
after
was
this.
a defensive coordinator for the 0-16 Lions.
Oh my god. How do you how I don't know, dude. It just it's inexcusable. It is. It really is. Like, it's just
Yeah.
it doesn't make any sense. And LaFleur isn't somebody to go in and make changes on defense. He's an offensive minded coach. What is he gonna do? Like, go kick him in the ass? That should have been done last year. Like, it's just I don't understand it even to the slightest of my being and understanding as to how this has been allowed for the past 2 years now, essentially. But regardless, we got to move on to the next point. Actually, no, we'll go with some more Matt LaFleur quotes because why not, right? Because why not?
He was to use a Matt LaFleur, he was spitting hot piss at the podium tonight.
Well, can you really blame him?
No.
Things Matt LaFleur said tonight. They whooped us pretty good. They manhandled us, really, in every phase. Couldn't agree more. We got our ass kicked. It's hard to throw on your back. Sure is. That was humiliating, being down 27-3 at half. Yep, I agree. We're going to have to do something different on defense. Pretty freaking much. Like, it just doesn't make. I'll keep saying it till I go blue in the face, and I just might. It doesn't make sense as to what they're doing over there on defense. And you can talk about just how bad the line was. It's all comes down to coaching, dude. And again, I think he's a good coach at times, but he's got to make some changes to how he preps this team. And I think I wouldn't even be as sad if they went like full, all the assistants are gone. I'm serious, all of them. Keep Mike Clemens at QB, Tom Clemens, not Mike. Tom Clemens at QB, and whoever the receiver coach is. Like, because the receivers
Grable.
are doing fine. I think they're developing well. Other than that, I don't see a reason to keep anybody else, any other of the assistants. Frankly, like it's just what purpose is there? They're getting dog walked in almost every aspect of it. Like you can keep the line
Yeah, I mean,
coach. Who's the coordinator's name is escaping me. Adam Stenovich.
Adam Stenovich, who
Adam
used to be the
Stenovich, who
offensive
used to be
line
the offensive
coach.
line coach, like has decent ideas. If he's behind the option pitch plays, he can get tossed just for that alone. Frankly,
Yeah, just like the fucking option that they keep running.
exactly. But like I don't think the offense is a problem at that point. Mixing in Aaron Jones is the problem. That's a play calling issue. But I like some of the plays they're
Well,
running when they have time to run them.
part of the problem tonight too was like that is your opening script. Like I
Right.
understand like getting an interception and being in the Lions territory kind of flips how you're gonna play it. You know what I mean? But it was just like it was lifeless from the start. And again, these slow starts plague a young team that doesn't know any better. They don't know any better. The Lions are not like we're talking about a young Lions team too, in a lot of ways. Like they're not that far. They're a little bit more experienced. They obviously Aiden Hutchinson. This is his second season. They have young guys in the secondary. Brian Branch, who came back twice in this game and still got hurt twice. Really strange. Um, like the Lions are not like a veteran ready team to like they're getting close to ascending to possible contender, but you would anticipate them having some discipline issues. The Packers have this all across the board. We're even talking about how many special teams penalties did they have tonight? Like two or three again. The stat that I believe is Eric Eager of PFF, he brought up they had lost like 42 yards on five um kickoff returns because Keyshawn Nixon's running out from the end zone while being like 8 yards back. Like there's just not there's no discipline on this team. And that, if anything, is the most maddening thing about where this team is at this point. And Matt LaFleur, he can be pissed off as much as he wants after the game when you lose 34-20, but it didn't really feel like 34-20. It doesn't matter if you keep this thing keeps happening when you have the control to make it stop, to change things, to change how you prepare, to change how you adjust or what you want to make this team better. And especially where this team is at, who else is going to make that change besides the freaking head coach? I don't know. You mean
I'm muted again. I'm sorry. It just drives me crazy, dude. Like it just drives me crazy. Um, Michael in chat talking about how Rogers was 6-10 in his first year, plus had players hurt, and just noting that it takes time. Like I agree, Michael. I totally agree. This is a game to be upset at in a 17 game long season. Like, but it would be different if they looked even moderately good tonight in the first half. Like
yeah,
Dan Campbell said in his halftime interview from the sideline reporter, whose name I forget, um, that he was worried that the Lions would come out without as much intensity as they did in the first half. And I think it was pretty clear that that's what happened. The Packers played well in the second half, whether it would be like prevent defense or just lacking the intensity that they had in the first half. They got points on the board. They got points on the board.
yes,
And like I just need to see that to begin with. in the first half. I just need to see it because you're not going to have that all the time. Like, it doesn't pay to go down 27-3 and try and play comeback the entire freaking game. That's not how football should work. It should be a back and forth of exchanging leads or tying in the game or something like that. They looked like crap in the first half, and I think
Yes.
that's the team this is going to look like for a foreseeable amount of games into the future. Their next four games are against I would call not good teams, but I think
Raiders, Broncos. Sorry, Raiders by Broncos. Who's the two after?
Minnesota and the Rams home against
That's
Minnesota
a those are winnable games
if they come
if
prepared.
if they come prepared. They don't have turnovers. I know Love had 2 picks, and I did fear that Love would have a couple pick games going into
Which is
tonight. But like,
fine. But like,
it is fine.
and I wouldn't even
Yes.
say that either one of them were his fault. First one was tipped. Second
Yeah.
one was the Dobbs one we talked about earlier. Like,
Yeah.
I just I don't know, dude. It's just it needs to something needs to change. And I get that it's gonna be a rough year. If we get a high pick, I said it in the offseason, good. It's fine by me. I can tell you what, you can put in Black Sharpie offensive line at that pick in the first round. I think
Yeah. Most likely.
if it's anything else, I will rip my hair out, understanding that Bakhtiari is probably done. This surgery could end his career, frankly, and we hope it doesn't. But you need to start game planning for offensive tackle, left tackle, for the Jordan Love era. And if they have a high pick in the top 10 or something, that is what the pick needs to be.
Yep. I'm sure the offensive line will play better than what they did tonight. It was just an ass kicking. Um, and they played against the other thing too is that they played against the uh, Saints defensive line that again was
Good.
very good.
Which is why
They
it gets me, I'm going to pound my freaking armchair. It gets me so mad that they can't get up for a game like this. It happened against
yeah
the Titans last year. I said it earlier. Like, it's just, it's crazy that they can go from a Saints defensive line with Cam Jordan and the like that has good players on it and play well to then
I'm looking this
it's
up. Oh, the Cowboys game was
I
before
know.
Titans.
Yeah, we were
That tracks.
the exact same fucking thing, Jordan, happened last year between the Cowboys and Titans game and this game and there's the Saints game and this game. We were flying high post game of the Cowboys. Christian
Yes.
Watson comes on 3 touchdowns. They beat the bricks off the Super Bowl contending Cowboys, and this is the beginning of them getting back on track. And then they lay a goose egg. They laid the fattest goose egg because they didn't get up for the game. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if Matt LaFleur just has such disdain for anything other than a regular week. Like, he's fine with games at home. He's fine with games on the road. But if you throw in a Thursday night game or a trip to London, just embarrassing, embarrassing levels of performance from the Packers in those games.
100%. There's no other way around it. It sucks it happened at Lambeau, but yeah, it feels like a young team that was on this all world high of doing or pulling off this magnificent comeback and coming in riding high. Hey, we're tied with the Lions in the division, and the Lions are just a very very different team in how they're built and how they carry themselves.
Yeah, more or less. Like, Dan Campbell has that team in chip shape. That's really all you can say about it, is that he gets his players ready for this game or for 4 games, and Matt LaFleur doesn't at this point. Like, I'm not trying to be a Matt LaFleur detractor right now, but like the tape doesn't lie, dude. This is
Yeah.
multiple times where the first half of games, they look bad. Even
Yeah.
the first quarter. Someone in the Discord, again, GSP and the info, join the Discord. It's fun in there almost always. Dame trade, a lot of fun. Saints game last week, a lot of fun. If the NFL just abolished the first quarter, we'd be sitting pretty.
Yeah, we would have whatever the point differential would be.
Yeah, I think what you said is
Uh
barely above uh 0.
yeah, now it's +4,
Yeah,
and it feels like it.
and it feels
Probably
like
should
it.
be worse. Because
Yeah,
one of those games came against the Bears, who are god awful.
yeah, yeah. Bright spots on the defense. There's not a lot of them, but Quay Walker has 19 fucking tackles tonight, which I think says more about the enforcement the Lions offensive line put on the Packers defensive line. But I thought he played well tonight. He had the boneheaded play that cost the Packers a touchdown at the slimmest chances of coming back, where he jumped over the line on the field goal attempt. But again, it's a coaching issue. He should know better, 1,000%, than to jump over the line. But that's a coaching issue. Like, that it's all it is. It's a discipline issue. It's also a coaching issue.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
um, Carl Brooks had a sack tonight. Both of the rookies did. Colby Wood and Carl Brooks both had sacks tonight. So that's good. Like, I think they're gonna be. I've been impressed with how well they've played
Mm-hmm.
early on in their careers thus far. So hoping that that trend continues for them and they become pretty much staples of this line. And hopefully they can find a defensive coordinator that can put Kenny Clark, Devontae Wyatt, Carl Brooks, and Colby Wood into good use because they're fucking good, despite Joe Barry. Anything else, my good sir?
No, it was an ass kicking. Again, this score line is gonna look a lot better than what it felt like in the moment. There was positive moments. I'm glad that they showed something in the second half because it was just that downright awful. Um, but yeah, I just I would like to see a more inspired start to games outside of the Bears game. Maybe the next layoff or the next 10 days will help them good, but certainly will help with their health in terms of injuries. But yeah, it's just a lot to improve on, and the people that have control over this, we don't really have the greatest belief in them right now.
No, it's it's waning, frankly. Like, I hope over the next 10 days they just sit in the film room and start looking at what went wrong. Like,
Mm,
I don't really know what the procedures are when it comes to like how often you can call guys in for film and practice and things like that in like the time after a Thursday game. But like, I'd call them in tomorrow. Hey, come, we gotta come watch film. Come in, Monday, watch film, and then we'll practice Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
yeah,
But or no,
it's probably gonna be
Thursday,
Thursday,
Friday,
Friday,
Saturday.
Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But then come in Monday, Tuesday, watch film. Like, they have to learn what the hell went wrong with this and start implementing changes. Like, this is where the coaching matters. If they come out, oh man, if they come out flat against the Raiders, I will be upsetty to say the least.
yes.
So, anything else, Jordan, or should we wrap up?
No, I think that's it.
Good. So, thank you all for listening. Couple promotions to get to before we wrap up and for good. Um, in case you haven't heard, the Bucks traded for Damian Lillard. I know, Jordan, and you, my lovely co-host, went on 1-6 with your trusty co-host Adam McGee and Rohan Kadi from Eurostep, and talked the big trade and just how exciting it is for the Bucks to get a top 75 player in NBA history on this roster as they look to make a championship run this year. So go check out the Bucks feed on the Eurostep feed and the 1-6 feed. Go listen to it. It's a really good one. Would recommend it. Go follow that pod as well. You can follow Jordan at George Husky over there, at Win and Six at I think just Eurostep if I'm not mistaken, for their ats on Twitter as well. But um,
There may be another win and six coming.
there's no maybe about it. Check your feeds tomorrow morning, folks. If you're in here now, you're listening to it
Let's
first.
just say class is in session
Class
and
is
coach
in
coach
session.
is ready. He's at the blackboard.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say I think Jordan might have had his most favorite pot of ever today, and it wasn't this one. Um, so go check out the Bucks feed. Subscribe to that. Um, the Brewers clinched the. I think we said this yesterday, but clinched the NL Central title with their win, or with the Cubs losing against the Braves this week, and so they will face off against either the Marlins, Diamondbacks, or the Cubs. You can find all of the recap from this series against the Cardinals on the Cruising for a Bruising feed with Adam McGee and Andrew Snyder. They're doing a great job there as they're ramping up for the playoff push. If you haven't listened to them yet, they're quite good. I love listening to them for all my Brewers analysis. Uh, Go check it out because Brewers are going to make a run. Hopefully, sure, a deep one with a title being raised at the end. So
Yeah.
go listen to them, subscribe, like all that stuff, and make time for this. Adam and Andrew host that as well. Um, just a generally fun pod. Their Oppenheimer pod was so good. I loved listening to it after I watched Oppenheimer. So go check it out. Anything else I'm trying to miss? Just GSP.info for all things Eurostep Podcast Network. Um, Missing anything, Jordan?
No, I think that's it.
Perfect. All right, folks. Thank you for stopping by and listening. If you joined us tonight on the live, we do appreciate it. Ooh, Andrew said Wes Anderson episode on Monday for the Make Time for This feed. So
Ooh.
there we go. We stuck that in there before we get out of here. So, all right, folks. That is it from us. I appreciate all of you listening through this tough loss, but you guys are what matters to us. Big breath in, big breath out. Onward and upward. Thank you everyone for listening. And Jordan, thank you.
Thank you.